I absolutely love fighting games. My channel is built around fighting games. Well, not lately, but you get the point. I love fighting games. I love the adrenaline. I love winning. I like cussing in the mic, freaking yelling a bunch of bull into the mic, just saying that like, I'm better! But there are its cons, I do lose sometimes, and I do rage every now and then, and I actually once threw my controller across the room. Do I love fighting games?
What you say, nigga? You ain't nothing. Rematch me then. Rematch me. You scared? I'm just the one that backed up full screen and phone the whole entire time. Level 200 for what? You play like shit. No way that didn't hit. What? No way that didn't hit.
Yeah, I love fighting games. But yeah, I absolutely love fighting games, obviously. And something that I've always noticed about fighting games is that even though they're very much popular and we have like a big three when it comes to fighting games, they're not necessarily like too mainstream, and it's crazy to me. But there are two reasons that I believe why fighting games won't necessarily be as mainstream as most games like hero shooters or PvP. You get the point, shooter games. Now you're probably asking yourself, Blank, what is the reason that fighting games won't be as mainstream as most hero shooters or most story games? Well, there's two reasons to that. Ego and skill issue. Now I know when I say skill issue, you'll be like, oh, you're one of those guys. Let me explain about the skill issue. So let me use myself as an example. I've played Mortal Kombat for years, at least like a decade plus. So like I played DC versus Mortal Kombat, I played MK9, I played MKX, I played MK11, I'm currently playing MK1. You get the point. I play a lot of Mortal Kombat. I even have a Mortal Kombat display. Yeah, I love Mortal Kombat that much. But yeah, so over the years, I've very much gotten used to the formatting of Mortal Kombat. The 2D format, the simple button mashing and like the pattern and all that shit. The point is, I'm used to that. And when I switched over to Tekken, I didn't know shit because they had a whole different format. It was a straight up skill issue for me to play that game. I always get my ass kicked in Tekken, no matter how hard I try. Every time I play against my friends, I get my ass kicked. Every time I go online, I get my ass kicked. I get my ass kicked a lot in Tekken, and I'm tired of it. Now, okay, let me stop before this turns to a rant on why I hate Tekken. But yeah, you get the point. I play Mortal Kombat for years to the point that I've gotten way too used to the format to the point where it's just become muscle memory to me. And with Tekken, I gotta constantly look up what to do, learn how to do this and that, and the third, and it gets frustrating. But I still try, but still, it's frustrating. And you know what? That can go for other gamers as well. Street Fighter has a different format, Tekken has a different format, Mortal Kombat has a different format, and other freaking fighting games have different formats of playing. So if you played for like a certain amount of time on a certain game to the point where it's become muscle memory, switching to a different game has just become like very frustrating to do. But that's for people who's played fighting games for a very long time like myself. Now, let's talk about the people who want to get into fighting games casually. So I've recently seen people who want to try MK1 and Tekken 8 and maybe even Street Fighter every now and then. But it's mostly Mortal Kombat and Tekken 8 where I've seen the surge of casual players wanting to come in. I've seen the same thing all the time. They get their ass kicked so badly and then they delete the game. Now, why is that exactly? Well, typically when it comes to casual players, they're gonna run into players who's played these type of games for years. For Mortal Kombat, for instance, you could be joining in like right now on MK1 and then you're fighting against somebody that's played since MK9 and they're freaking dog walking you the whole entire time to the point where you're like, what the fuck am I even doing with my life? But yeah, you're running into players who's played the game for a very long time to the point where those types of patterns that you see on the move list, it's just straight up muscle memory. Like for me, for example, I look up the move list, I gotta look at it like just a glance and boom, I can get it down. But for most players, you gotta look at tutorials, you gotta look at the move list for a certain amount of time. And it just gets so tiring trying to memorize those moves, memorize the combos. And if you want to learn more than one character, you gotta learn like 18 different move sets for like different characters, and it gets really frustrating. So for new players, that's very stressful to try to learn all these types of combos, all these buttons, and on top of that, you got to learn how to do a bunch of defense, how to learn how to block properly, learn how to like move out the way, and it gets frustrating for new players to do these type of things when you're fighting against players who like just dwell in their parents' basement, like me for example. But yeah, for casual players, it's just a straight up skill issue, but not in a bad way. It's understandable that they want to leave because of a skill issue. And honestly, there are times where I try to like leave, but I can't. Me and Mortal Kombat have a toxic relationship.
I'll be there at work, baby. Bitch.
And with Tekken is way worse, because Tekken is definitely one of the hardest fighting games to learn. I still try to learn and I still get my ass kicked. I hate Tekken. But yeah, Tekken, you gotta learn so much. Like, learning just one character takes so much out of you. I'm still trying to learn how to use Reina, and it sucks! Like, imagine you just learned a new combo in Tekken, and you're like, okay, I'm ready to go online. And then you run into somebody who's played Tekken for years, and they do some crazy strings on you, and you're like, yeah, I'm deleting this game. Now, this stems for all players when it comes to gaming. Shooters, hero shooters, fighting games, even story games every now and then. We all have huge egos when it comes to these games, and sometimes they get shattered. So in shooters, for example, you actually have the privilege to like put the blame on somebody else other than yourself. So you can blame your teammate, you can blame lag, you can blame everything but themselves. But in fighting games, you can't do that. You got no one to blame but yourself, and that shatters some gamers' egos. Like, you know what? No, it's not a skill issue. You know what? F this game. I'm deleting this. I've seen it so many times. Low tier God and 6 arrogant. I'm looking at you. But yeah, egos get shattered a lot in fighting games, and you can't blame anybody but yourself when you lose. Now, of course, there are some players who are good sport, like, hey, it is what it is. But let's be honest, 99% of the time when it comes to losing in fighting games, there's a lot of screaming and there's a lot of controllers breaking.
What the fuck are you calling? Look at you, bitch! You look like a dumbass!
You know what? I've thrown my controller across the room, Tom Brady style, plenty of times because I lost. And you know what? I'm man enough to admit that. But there are some people who won't admit that. When they lose, they're like, you know, it's not me. It's just the game. The game is trash. The game, it can't do this. It can't do that. It's not me. It's the game. No, motherfucker, it's you. You suck. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up for the ego. That was pretty short, but it's not really that big of a thing to really like point out. Like, a lot of gamers have egos, and when they can't blame anyone else but themselves, they want to quit the game. And that's pretty much why I believe that fighting games won't necessarily be mainstream other than the space that it's in, because a lot of people are gonna have tons of problems of learning these characters, learning these combos, and just doing anything in fighting games without getting their ass kicked or getting mad. And a lot of gamers have so much ego that they can't handle a loss to the point that they just delete the game and just forget about it and go back to COD. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's why I believe fighting games won't be mainstream. So yeah, follow me on my social media and tell me your guys' thoughts. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Later.